8 minutes up on the clock. Clark in. Tips it back as it's controlled by St. Ignace. As Emily Hart moves it over to Marshall. Marshall at the top of the key. Marshall into the paint. Marshall puts it up, and it rattles home. St. Ignace takes the 2-0 lead at 7:46. DeWolf comes down the court. Puts it into the near corner for Hicks. Hicks puts up a three-pointer. That's grabbed and put in by Stewart. Pioneer ties it up 2-2. 7:34 left to go here as there is a whistle. And a foul. Hicks gets called for the foul. Her first foul, the team's first. Marshall has the ball over midcourt. Marshall fades to her left-hand side in the backcourt, comes down, puts it into the corner. Schultz moves it over into the near corner. Trying to bring it in is Tessa Shepard. Contact made. She goes down. Foul called. As Terming has the foul called on her. Second on Pioneer. Inbounding is the ball is Emily Hart. All the way back to Marshall. Marshall at midcourt. Marshall comes up to the arc. Marshall sends it over to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard trying to get it down underneath. The ball tipped by Clark. Marshall gets it back, working her way on the near wing. Marshall hands it over to Schultz. Schultz, top of the key. Schultz calling out signals. Goes to her left, now to her right. Trying to get into the paint. Kicks it into the near corner. Trying to get it into the near side. That was Tabby Shepard. Tipped away over to Stewart. Stewart brings it up court on the far wing. Over to DeWolf. DeWolf tries to cut into the paint. Over into the near corner to Hicks. Hicks bounces it underneath for Clark. Clark puts up the cross, and it won't go down. Coming the other direction with it is Emily Hart into the near corner. Spinning with it is Anna Hart. Anna Hart drops it, trying to get it over to Schultz, and that just went off of a knee, out of bounds. That'll go over to Pioneers. 6:17 left to go in the first quarter. 2-2 is our score. Hicks inbounds it. Bounce pass over to DeWolf. DeWolf trying to get it in. Charge called. That's going to go the other way to St. Ignace. St. Ignace will inbound. Schultz has it right in front of her bench. Schultz sends it to Marshall. Marshall goes over center court. Cuts to her left. Stewart with defense. Now double team. Marshall gets it over to Schultz. Schultz gets over to the far wing. Schultz coming down the far sideline. Bounce pass. That tipped out of bounds. As the ball will stay with St. Ignace. 2-2 is our score here. 5:58 left to go. St. Ignace inbounding from the far sideline over to Marshall. Marshall brings it over center court in the backcourt. Tries to split a pair of Pioneer defenders. Foul on Stewart. That will be Pioneer's third foul. As Marshall now they flip it over, and that will be Courtney Frazier who inbounds it. Courtney Frazier over to Emily, and now flipping it back to Courtney Frazier. Courtney Frazier tries to get it inbounds over to Schultz. Schultz coming into the paint, down the baseline, driving, trying to put it up. That tipped away. Out of bounds, and that will go over to Pioneer as Thurman will inbound it. 2-2 is our score. Heavy defense by these two great teams. The inbound pass just a little high, corralled by Schultz in her side of the court. Goes over mid-court, comes over to her right-hand side, working her way around the arc. Tries to split between two defenders. Schultz goes down. Foul called. Hicks takes her second foul. And timeout called at 5:26 here in the first quarter. It is Pioneer 2 and St. Ignace 2. St. Ignace, the Saints to inbound right in front of the scorer's bench. So they get it to Marshall. Marshall moves it back to Anna Hart. Anna Hart gets it back over to Marshall. Marshall, top of the key. Marshall trying to get down into the paint. Kicks it out into the far corner as Schultz moves it over. Shot up And that's brought down as that was Tessa Shepard. That bounced off. Controlled. Tessa Shepard gets it back. Trying to send it into the far corner. And out of bounds. That ball will go over to as foul called. So that's going to stay with Pioneer. Sends it in. DeWolf bringing it down the near side of the court. DeWolf comes over. Center court. DeWolf trying to work her way to the paint now. Kicks it. Trying to get it over to Turman. And pass just off of its mark. Now go over to the Saints. As Schultz will inbound it. 2-2 is our score in a heavily defensive contest so far. 4:55 left to go here in the first quarter. Schultz inbounds it over to Marshall. Marshall brings it over center court. Marshall fades to her left, now cuts to her right, puts it up through the paint, bounces just off the rim. Turman with the rebound. Turman over to DeWolf. DeWolf brings it down the near sideline. DeWolf over center court. DeWolf looking for a place to go with it, comes up into the arc. DeWolf in the high post on the near side. DeWolf now bounce pass over to Turman. Turman moves it over on the far wing to Stewart. Stewart looking back. Over to DeWolf. DeWolf, three-pointer. That bounces off the back of the rim. Marshall with the rebound. Marshall heads into the key. Marshall into paint. Contact made. There's a whistle. 2-2 is our score. As the foul is called on Bogan. To the line is Marshall. So shooting 2, Marshall at the line. 4:16 left to go here. Marshall puts it in, making it 3-2. Saints over Pioneer here in the early going. Marshall gets another shot as she eyes the line. Substitutions as Argoza comes in for the Saints. Marshall hits the second one. And the Saints have a 4-2 lead over Pioneer. 4:16 left to go. As Pioneer looking to inbound. Hicks has it under the basket, looking to inbound. She kicks it, moves it over, getting it back. Coming down is Bogan. Bogan over center. Bogan working against Argoza. Bogan over on the far sideline, over to DeWolf. DeWolf works her way around the arc. Double team. DeWolf comes off, flips it underneath to Turman. Turman looking for a place to go with it. Gets it to Hicks on the far sideline. Hicks trying to pass it over to Clark. That's stolen away. Coming down the far sideline is Emily Hart. Puts it up. The ball bounces off the rim. Foul called at 3:43. DeWolf gets called for the foul. St. Ignace with a few substitutions. Coming back in, Tessa Shepard. Stewart and Rollins coming in for Pioneer. Clark coming out. As the Saints will inbound it, they have the 4-2 lead. As inbounding it is Anna Hart. Gets it into the near corner. Trying to work her way around. Emily loses it. That moved over to DeWolf. DeWolf in the near corner. DeWolf floats it to Stewart. Top of the key. Stewart looking for a place to go with it now. Back to DeWolf. We're just inside of midcourt. Moving over, whistle. And travel called against Pioneer. 3 foul. Foul on Stewart. Pioneer called for the foul. That will send the ball right back over to the Saints at 3:19. Saints up 4-2. With it is Marshall. Marshall kicks to her left-hand side. Marshall has DeWolf watching her, gets a screen. Hicks switches off. Marshall comes to the top of the key. Now gives it to Schultz. Schultz on the near wing. Schultz works her way, wrapping around the arc with Hicks in front of her. Schultz now kicks into the paint. Schultz encounters right underneath as she ran into, Trying to see. As she ran into Rollins. Foul called on Rollins. As that puts the Saints in the bonus. Schultz eyes the line. Schultz puts it up and puts it in. 5-2, Saints over Pioneer. 2:56 left to go here in the first quarter. One more coming for Schultz. She toes the line, dribbles a few times, leans up, and rattles it home. Saints 6, Pioneer 2. 2:56 left to go here in the first quarter. Schultz comes out to sit. Pioneer inbounds as Stewart has it coming down the far sideline. Stewart trying to get around Tessa Shepard. Stewart comes to the far point, trying to lift it over to Rollins. Stewart goes down. And she pops up. Tessa Shepard with the foul. Pioneer will inbound underneath their own basket, just the far side of the basket. Clark comes back in, replacing Stewart for Pioneer. DeWolf to inbound underneath their own basket. Schultz guarding the inbound. She gets it on the far sideline. Good job by Bogan to keep it in. Over to DeWolf. DeWolf on the far wing. DeWolf comes into the paint. Floats it over to Hicks. Hicks with the three-pointer and puts it in. From the near corner, Hicks makes it a one-point game as it's Saints 6, Pioneer 5, 2:26 left to go. Saints quickly upfield. They put up a shot. That bounces out, but there is a whistle. I was waiting for the call as that ball went out of bounds. The Saints inbound underneath their own basket. As they get that over to Anna Hart. Anna Hart kicks it to Marshall. Marshall, top of the key. Moves it back to Anna Hart. Anna Hart working her way around the arc. Fires on the far side. Now Schultz gets it back. Schultz, top of the arc. Schultz works her way to a right-hand side. Dishes off to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard into the paint. Puts it up and puts it in. That makes it the Saints 8 and Pioneer 5. 1:53 left to go as Hicks has it. Goes into the far corner. Contact made. Whistle. As Marshall will take her first foul. Hicks to inbound. Gets it over to DeWolf. DeWolf into the paint. DeWolf puts it up and puts it home. It's a one-point game as the Saints 8, Pioneer 5 quickly up as Emily Hart goes right to the basket, puts it up, contact made. The ball won't go down, but she will go to the line to shoot two. Rollins called for the foul. Emily Hart toes the line, bends down, puts it up, and it bounces off the front of the rim. 1:37 left to go here in the first quarter. St. Ignace 8, Pioneer 7. One more shot coming for Emily Hart. She leans down, puts it up. Again, bounces off the front of the rim, gets her own rebound. That knocked away. Good defense by DeWolf to knock it away, but it will be ball out of bounds to the Saints. Saints with a 1-point lead, the ball inbounding as Courtney Frazier has it on the far sideline, waiting for the official to give her the ball. Courtney Frazier now gets it to Marshall in the backcourt. Marshall over center court. Marshall goes to the near wing, now cutting into the paint, loses the ball, gets it back. Kicks that to Emily Hart. Emily Hart moves it back to Anna Hart. Back to Marshall. Marshall moving it over to Schultz on the near wing. Schultz working her way around the arc. Schultz. Good defense by Pioneer. Turman trying to stay in front of her. Schultz tries to kick in. Now moves that back to Courtney Frazier. Courtney Frazier the free throw line. That tipped away. Good defense by Pioneer. DeWolf has it. DeWolf moves it over to Bogan. Bogan puts up a three. Oh, that off the front of the rim and out of bounds over to St. Ignace. 55 seconds left to go here in the first quarter. It is St. Ignace 8 and Pioneer 7 in a tough-fought game between these two excellent teams. Very solid defense by both of these squads. As DeWolf sits for a few moments, Brines comes in to replace her. Schultz brings it over center court, coming down the far sideline. Schultz kicks it over to Marshall. Marshall on the near wing, puts it into the near corner, gets it back. Trying to travel, called on St. Ignace, so that'll go over to Pioneer. 40.8 seconds left to go here in the first. St. Ignace 8, Pioneer 7. As Brines comes out, Maya Hicks inbounds. DeWolf has the ball on the far wing. DeWolf being watched by Adams. DeWolf works her way towards center, over to Sherman. Sherman going around the arc, over to Bogan. Bogan back to Hicks. Hicks centered up, working her way around the arc, over to DeWolf. DeWolf just inside of midcourt, now on the far sideline, trying to get around Adams. DeWolf comes to the near side. Now kicks over to the far side. DeWolf looking for a screen from Clark. Dribbles away, trying to split a pair of defenders into the paint. Lofts it over to Bogan. Bogan over to Hicks. Hicks with the three-pointer. Oh, rattles around the rim. Would not fall. Battle for the ball as the quarter ends. Turman went down to get it. And at the end of one, it is St. Ignace 8 and Pioneer 7. You're listening to Pioneer Women's Varsity Basketball, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting here at the start of the second. It is the Saints with a 1-point lead, 8-7 over Pioneer. 8 minutes up on the clock. Possession arrow towards Pioneer, so they will inbound. Hicks has it on the far sideline. Hicks gets it to DeWolf. DeWolf. Pioneer coming right to left. DeWolf approaches the arc on the far wing. Moves it to Turman. That kick back out to Bogan. Bogan over to Hicks on the near side. Bounce pass back out to Turman. Three-pointer, and she sinks it. Pioneer now with the 10-8 lead on the Saints. 7:40 left to go here before halftime. The ball comes back out to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard over to Schultz. Tessa Shepard gets it back. She's on the far wing. Moves it to Schultz. Schultz works around the rim. Over to Marshall. Marshall goes underneath into the paint. Tries to get up. Contact made. Foul called. Turman has the foul called on her. As Marshall will go to the line to shoot two. As she puts it up and puts it in. 1-point lead for Pioneer. As Pioneer was able to take their first lead off of a Turman three-pointer. 7:25 left to go. Marshall toes the line. Looks up to the basket, puts it up, puts it in. Nothing but net. And it is a 10-10 game between these two teams. Pioneer inbounds. Turman has it underneath the basket. Flips it over to DeWolf. DeWolf comes down court. Comes over midcourt. She has Tessa Shepard on her. Kicks it over. Trying to get it to Turman in the far corner. Stolen away as Schultz gets it ahead to Courtney Frazier. Courtney Frazier into the paint, loses the ball. Out of bounds. That goes off of Pioneer. The Saints will keep the ball. 7:04 left to go here before halftime. 10-10 is our score. Anna Hart to inbound. Stewart checks back in for Pioneer. As Turman gets a chance to rest. Anna Hart inbounding underneath her own basket. Trying to get it. Schultz to the near hand side, and 5 seconds called. That'll go over to Pioneer. As good defense on the inbound pass by Pioneer causes a turnover, and DeWolf will have it. As DeWolf calling out signals, they have yet to give her the ball. Now Clark comes over, 7:04 left to go before halftime. 10-10 is our score. DeWolf looks to inbound, Hicks inbounds over to DeWolf. DeWolf moves down the far side to Bogan. Bogan gets it back to DeWolf, centered up, works her way around the arc, comes over to the near side. DeWolf flips it over to Stewart. Stewart heads back towards center court, now going from the near side to the far side, over into the far corner. Trying to spin with it is Bogan. Bogan out of working her way around the arc, moves it to Clark. Clark trying to get it past a little high for Bogan, but Bogan gets it back. There's a whistle. And timeout called by Pioneer. Pioneer to inbound. Bogan sends it to DeWolf. DeWolf in the backcourt. DeWolf works her way down the near sideline over center court. DeWolf bounce pass over to Clark. Clark wrapping around the arc, going from the near side to the far side. Moves it to Stewart. Stewart over to Hicks. Hicks puts the ball, trying to get her way into the paint. Hicks puts up a layup, and it goes down. Pioneer 12 and the Saints 10. Quickly ahead to Marshall. Marshall bounce pass in the paint for Schultz. Schultz puts it up, and a beautiful shot as Schultz in the paint. Hooked it up and in, tied at 12. Pioneer quickly ahead as Stewart has it on the far side. 5:57 left to go before half. DeWolf trying to get around the arc, moves it over to Bogan. Bogan over to Hicks. Hicks, long cross-court pass over to Stewart. Stewart puts up the three. Stewart hits the three. Stewart, 23, hit the three. Pioneer, DeWolf dives on the ball. As a pass made, tipped, and DeWolf dives down. Trying to quickly get on it was Schultz. 5:33 left to go here in the second. The Saints 12, Pioneer 15. The ball stays with the Saints on the jump ball. Tessa Shepard to inbound. Over to Marshall. Marshall in the backcourt. Stewart watching Marshall. Marshall over midcourt. Marshall comes to the near sideline. Double team. Marshall trying to split the double team. Gets it over to Anahart. Bounce pass underneath to Schultz. Schultz trying to put it up. Defense knocked down as Clark gets it. Trying to outlet it. That's stolen away by St. Ignace. And then trying to get it over to Schultz on the near sideline. That pass just went off of her fingertips and back to Pioneer. Excellent defense by both of these squads. 5:11 left to go before half. Hicks will inbound. Pioneer up 15-12. DeWolf with it on the far sideline. Splits a pair on defense. Gets it to Clark. Clark underneath the basket. Puts in the layup. Pioneer 17. The Saints 12. As Schultz brings it over center court. Schultz comes down to the near side. Schultz over to Tessa Shepard. Over to Marshall. Now Emily Hart taking a shot from the far corner. That went off the side of the backboard. DeWolf has it over center. DeWolf moves it to Hicks. Hicks trying to get to Clark. That's stolen away by Anna Shepard, trying to roll it over to Schultz, and that went out of bounds. So ball off of the Saints. That will go back over to Pioneer. Pioneer 17, the Saints 12. 4:37 left to go here before halftime. DeWolf will inbound underneath her own basket. DeWolf skies it out to Clark. Clark just inside of midcourt. Works her way to her right-hand side. Over to Stewart. Stewart on the far wing. Back to DeWolf. DeWolf, top of the paint. DeWolf backs up. Looking for a screen. Gets it to Hicks in the near corner. Hicks back to DeWolf just inside of midcourt. DeWolf cuts into the paint, trying to put it up. That ball came back. Grabbing it before it goes out of bounds is Schultz, and here comes the Saints down the other way. As Schultz puts it up, contact made, foul called. 4:08 left to go here. Trying to hear who they called the foul on. I could not hear. Gotcha. It was Bryans who got the foul called. Schultz steps to the line. Shooting 2. Schultz puts it up, puts it in. Schultz with one more. It is the Saints 13, Pioneers 17. Schultz with one more shot, 4:08 left to go before halftime. And timeout called. Schultz toes the line, eyes the basket, puts it up, and puts it in. 3-point game. As it is, the Saints 14, Pioneers 17. 4:05 left to go before halftime. DeWolf brings it to the 3-point line, trying to get it underneath to Turman. Turman out to Brines. Brines into the far corner for Hicks. Hicks trying to work her way around the 3-point line. Gets it back to DeWolf. DeWolf on the far wing. DeWolf trying to get around Schultz. DeWolf moves it to Stewart. Stewart gets it back to Brines. Brines, top of the key. Brines moves it over to Turman. Turman on the near wing. Turman puts it, trying to get into the paint. Double team that, tipped away by Emily Hart. Pioneer will inbound as Hart getting in the passing lane, knocking it down. 3:30 left to go before halftime. The Saints 14, Pioneer 17. As there is an elbow called on Pioneer. Off-ball call. Stewart getting the foul called, as that will be the Saints inbounding right in front of their bench. Anna Shepard will inbound. 3:30 left to go. Shepard. As Shepard inbounds to Marshall. Marshall over center court. Marshall cuts to the far sideline. Now top of the key. As Bryant watching her. That kicked over underneath. Tipped away back to Anna Shepard. Now pass errant over on the far sideline. Marshall saves it, but Hicks intercepts the pass. Hicks over on the near side to Clark. Clark trying to get into the paint, puts up the shot. It rims off, but a foul called as Schultz gets called for the foul. Clark will be shooting 1-1. It is the Saints 14, Pioneer 17. Clark puts up the first shot, and it rims out. Or excuse me, it was shooting 2, because it was in the process of taking the shot that she got fouled. So Clark will get a second shot here. 3:01 before halftime. Clark puts it up, rolls around, and then in. So it's Pioneer 18 and the Saints 14. Marshall brings it over center court. Marshall on the far sideline. Comes up, centered up, top of the key. Marshall looking for a place to go with this. She picked up her dribble. Gets it over to Emily Hart. Emily Hart into the paint to Schultz. Schultz kicks it back out. Now trying to get it. Anna Shepard moves it back over to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard back into the far corner. Gets it to Marshall. Marshall, top of the key. Marshall tries to cut into the paint. Marshall puts up a left-hand layup. That won't fall for her. Here comes DeWolf the other direction. DeWolf on the near sideline. Moves it over to Bogan. Bogan lofts it into the paint. Clark gets tied up. Jump ball. As Anna Shepard able to get her hands on that ball. And possession arrow goes for Pioneer. DeWolf will inbound underneath her own basket. 2:19 left to go before halftime. The Saints 14, Pioneer 18. Here from the Motor City Round Ball Classic. As DeWolf looking for a place to go with it, lofts it all the way back to Turman. Turman gets it right at midcourt. Turman floats it over to DeWolf on the far sideline. DeWolf calling out signals. Goes to her left-hand side. Comes over to the near wing. Over to Bogan. Bogan moves it to Clark. Clark gets it over to Turman. Turman bounces it to Hicks. Gets it back to Clark underneath, who puts it up and in. Pioneer 20 and the Saints 14. 1:55 left to go before half. Quickly up to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard over to Schultz. Schultz, inbound pass, trying to get it underneath. That's stolen away by Clark. Clark puts it up. Contact made. Blocking foul, it looks like. Marshall gets a blocking call foul. So Clark will go to the line shooting 2. This is a 6-point lead for Pioneer. Now a 7-point lead as Clark puts it in. 1:42 left to go before halftime. Hicks sits as Brines comes in for Pioneer. Clark has one more shot. It's Clark. Toes the line, dribbles, puts it up, and bounces off the rim. Schultz with the rebound. Schultz comes down the near side. Schultz kicks it into the near corner for Marshall. Over to Anna Shepard. Her shot just off the backboard. Corralled underneath by Pioneer. Quick pass up to Bogan. Bogan in the near corner. Bogan moves it over to DeWolf. DeWolf over to Turman. Turman moves it into the far corner for Brines. Brines working her way around, trying to get it back to DeWolf. DeWolf puts up a 3. That bounces off the rim. Battle for it underneath. Coming away with it. Clark. Clark in the paint. Puts in the layup. Pioneer 23. The Saints 14. 1:06 left to go. Quickly ahead to Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard moves it over to Schultz into the far corner for Tessa Shepard. Schultz gets it back. Schultz working her way around the arc. Top of the key. Schultz has Bogan on her. Moves it over into the near corner for Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard works from the near side to the far side. Anna Shepard has DeWolf on top of her as Anna Shepard switches hands for the dribble. Gets into the paint. Trying to put it up. I think she tripped over. So Turman gets the tripping foul. It's her third foul. 41 seconds left to go before halftime. Pioneer with the 9-point lead. Marshall, who has been fantastic from the line. Well, really all around. Steps up to the free throw line, puts it in, and that's the broadcaster's curse as that went off. Just as I said, she had been perfect from the line. I jinxed her. She gets another shot, though. That one just went off the rim to the near side. This one won't fall either. That just went off the near side. DeWolf comes down with it. DeWolf into the paint. DeWolf puts it up and in with the layup. 33 seconds left to go. Pioneer extends it to an 11-point lead. Quickly ahead to Marshall. Marshall comes down the near sideline. Marshall flips the pass over to Schultz. Schultz over on the far sideline to Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard to Tessa Shepard from 3 in the far corner. That goes down, so it is the Saints 17, Pioneer 25. DeWolf brings it over center court. On the near wing, DeWolf has Anna Shepard in front of her. DeWolf cuts into the paint, puts it up. It ends up falling, but there was a whistle and a call. As they call, I thought she said 11, said 12. That'll be the 15th team foul. Originally they called that on Marshall, but I did not see number. Gotcha. It is Marshall on the call. DeWolf will inbound. 4.5 seconds left to go before halftime. Pioneer with the 8-point lead. Schultz watching the inbound. DeWolf kicks it all the way back out to Brines. Brines comes into the paint. Brines puts it up. Won't fall for it. Gets it back. Puts it up and rolls off of the rim. And that will be halftime. At halftime, Pioneer with the 25-17 lead. Pioneer going from left to right in this second half. Anna Shepard inbound from the far sideline. Gets it to Marshall. Marshall coming down the near sideline over center court. Marshall has DeWolf watching her. Flips that back to Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard back to Marshall underneath the basket. Wouldn't fall for her. Clark with the rebound. Loose ball picked up by Anna Shepard. She goes to the free throw line. Shoots it just a little too hard. Clark comes away with it. Clark spinning, trying to avoid pressure. Gets it ahead to Hicks. Hicks gets it to Stewart in the far corner. Stewart with Emily Hart on top of her. Stewart goes down the baseline, puts it up. Collision made. That'll be a charge against Stewart. So the ball will go to the Saints. 7:26 left to go here in the third quarter. Pioneer up 25-17. Schultz to inbound. Schultz gets it to Marshall. Marshall over midcourt. Marshall coming down the near sideline. Marshall with the Wolf on top of her. Marshall moves it over on the far side. Anna Shepard gets it to Emily Hart. Emily Hart takes a shot. That kicked back off to Marshall. Marshall into the paint. Puts it up and in. Marshall gets the floater to fall. That makes it Pioneer 25, the Saints 19. DeWolf quickly up. Pass over to Bogan. Bogan with the three-pointer. That off the front of the rim. Out of bounds over to the Saints. 6:56 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 25, the Saints 19. 6-point game. As the officials talking things over. I think there was a little bit of moisture on the court, so checking things to make sure everything is copacetic. The official is holding on to the ball, waiting, and now Schultz to inbound it. Schultz inbounds to Marshall. Marshall comes over midcourt. Marshall just outside the three-point line, comes over to the near wing. Marshall over to Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard trying to make her way in. Kicks it along the far corner. That put up by Schultz. Turman gets the rebound. Foul called. Foul called on the Saints. To inbound Hicks. Hicks looking for a place to go with it. Kicks it out to Clark. Clark moves it back to Hicks. Hicks coming down the far sideline over midcourt. Hicks hands it off to DeWolf. DeWolf in the far wing. DeWolf coming down the far baseline. DeWolf has her pass tipped. Getting back to a Bogan. Bogan puts it into the near corner for Hicks. Hicks puts the dribble down up into the paint. Floating jumper won't fall. Grabbed by Hicks. Gets her own rebound. Whistle. And a foul. As that is on 5. Emily Hart. She gets called for the foul. 6:17 left to go here in the third. Pioneer to inbound as Hicks has it on the far sideline. Hicks has that pass intercepted. Tessa Shepard comes down into the paint, puts up the free throw, won't fall for her. Battle for it underneath. Jump ball called. As DeWolf was in there trying to grab that, as well as Emily Hart, and both got their hands on a jump ball. That'll go to Hicks underneath as the possession arrow pointing to the visitors now flips over to the home team. Quickly passing it out to Clark. Clark coming down the far sideline. Clark moves into the far corner. Now the pass underneath to Clark. Whistle. And a foul called. As they say, a push called. That is going to be on Emily Hart. Pioneer will inbound again. As the ball tipped back to Clark. Clark outside the free throw line. Goes to her right-hand side. Hands it off to DeWolf. DeWolf makes her way from the near side to the far side. DeWolf over to Turman. Turman gets it back to Clark. Clark loses it. Gets it back into the paint. She puts up a floater. Won't fall. The rebound grabbed as that was Courtney Fraser with the rebound. Moved over on the near side to Emily Hart. Emily Hart with a collision with Turman. And that foul goes against Turman. 5:38 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 25, the Saints 19. To inbound is Schultz underneath the basket. Schultz kicks it back out to Marshall. Marshall out to midcourt. Marshall moves it on the far side. That to Tessa Shepard, knocked away by DeWolf. DeWolf comes the other direction. DeWolf gets into the near corner. DeWolf, cross-court pass over to Bogan. Bogan underneath to Clark. That gets back out to Brines. Brines with the shot. Long two-pointer, 15-foot two-pointer from the far side. That makes it 27 Pioneer, 19 the Saints, as the Saints have it working her way around Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard has it knocked away by DeWolf, grabbed by Marshall. Marshall moves it over to Anna Shepard. Shot as it bounces off of the end board by Schultz. Schultz put it in, moves it over. Rebound grabbed, and Courtney Frazier with the layup. Traveling called against Pioneer. That'll go right back to St. Ignace. 4:48 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 27, St. Ignace 21. To inbound is Anna Shepard. Underneath her own basket. Anna Shepard looking for a place to go with it. Gets it over to Schultz. Schultz in the paint. Schultz puts up a roller. Wouldn't fall, but a foul called. Contact ahead. So at the line is Schultz. Schultz puts it up, rolls around and would not fall. 4:45 left to go here as coming in Zaragoza and Emily Hart. Marshall sits. Schultz with one more shot. 6-point lead for Pioneer, 27-21. Schultz toes the line. Puts up. And it bounces off the front. Bryant with the rebound. Bryant over center court. Comes down the near sideline. Gets it over to DeWolf. DeWolf splits a pair into the paint, but down to her knees. Whistle called. And it's going to be on Tessa Shepard. .436 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 27. The Saints 21. Hicks to inbound from the far sideline. Sorry, that was to Zaragoza. The ball inbounded to DeWolf. DeWolf gets it back to Hicks in the far corner. Hicks over to Clark. Hicks gets it back, working her way around the arc. Gets it back to Clark, then gets it. Hicks at the three-point line, over to Bogan. Bogan on the near wing. Bogan to Clark, underneath Clark. Feeds Brines for the layup. Brines just underneath the basket, puts it in. Pioneer 29. And the Saints 21. As Schultz works her way around the arc. At the top of the key, Hicks watching her. Now gets into the paint, tries to feed. Trying to put it into Emily Hart. Emily Hart gets it, contact made. Foul called on Pioneer. The Saints will inbound underneath the basket. 4:02 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 29, the Saints 21. Hicks sits and gets a breather. Anna Hart looking for a place to go with it, over to Marshall. Then Anna Hart gets it back in the far corner. Feeds Marshall. Marshall into the paint. Marshall puts up and in the layup. And she drove the lane. That makes it Pioneer 29, St. Ignace 23. 30-second timeout. Pioneer to inbound. As Hicks gets it inbound to DeWolf. DeWolf coming down the far sideline. DeWolf floats it over to Brines, then trying to get back to the Wolves. Stolen away by Marshall. Here comes the Saints the other direction. That ahead, loose ball. Emily Hart comes up with it, puts it up, that off the front of the rim. Brines gets it back. Here comes Pioneer the other direction. DeWolf with it down the far sideline. DeWolf stops just shy of the three-point arc, comes back into the backcourt. DeWolf at the far wing gets it to Bogan. Bogan spinning with it. Bogan floats it over to DeWolf, who puts up, I believe that was a long two-pointer. I think her foot was on the line. But that makes it 31, Pioneer 23, the Saints. Marshall coming up to the paint. Marshall trying to go with it, puts it over to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard right over at midcourt. Timeout called. 2:51 left to go in the third. It's Pioneer 31 and St. Ignace 23. So a lot of great defense by both teams. They've both been playing very, very hard. Inbounding the ball is Anna Hart. Anna Hart gets all the way back to Emily Hart. Emily Hart moves it over to Marshall. Marshall working her way around the three-point line. Marshall switches up the dribble, trying to get around Bogan. Comes into the free throw line. Moves it over on the near side to Tessa Shepard. That bounces off the rim. Bogan with the rebound. Bogan coming down the far sideline. Gets it to DeWolf. DeWolf on the far wing. Moves it over. That intercepted by Schultz. Here comes the Saints the other way. Schultz. Bound pass into the far corner for Marshall. Marshall has it tipped away by Bogan. The ball will stay with the Saints. 2:22 left to go here in the third. Anna Shepard to inbound. She's looking for a place to go with it. Anna Shepard bounce passes it over to Marshall, then gets it back. Anna Shepard working her way around the three-point line. Over to Schultz. Schultz, top of the key, gets it over to Marshall on the far wing. Marshall works her way around the arc. Marshall has Brines in front of her. Marshall switches over the dribble, tries to get into the paint, drives the lane. Loose ball picked up by DeWolf. DeWolf going the other direction. DeWolf over center court. DeWolf has Schultz on top of her. She puts it underneath to Clark. Clark puts it up. Whistle before the shot. Marshall gets called for the foul. I believe that's her third foul. 1:56 left to go here in the third. Marshall takes a rest. Pioneer to inbound. Underneath their basket, DeWolf with it. DeWolf kicks it out to Hicks. Hicks thought about the three-pointer, now moves over to the near wing, into the near corner. Hicks trying to get it to Brines. That tipped off and out of bounds onto the incoming team who's going to play next. It is Pioneer 31 and the Saints 23. 1:43 left to go here in the third. Schultz has it just inside of center court. Schultz moves it over to Tessa Shepard, then gets it back. Schultz over to Anna Hart. Anna Hart puts it up, rolls around, and falls down. 31 for Pioneer, 25 for the Saints. Here comes Hicks coming down the near sideline with it. Now switches her hands. Moves it over to Bogan. Bogan on the far sideline. Back to Clark. Clark moves it over to DeWolf. DeWolf looking for a place to go with it on the near wing. DeWolf now works away from the near side to the far side. DeWolf. Contact made. Whistle called. That foul is going to go to Schultz. 1:09 left to go here in the third. Pioneer 31, the Saints 25. Pioneer inbounding the ball from the far sideline. Bogan gets it to Hicks. Hicks, top the key. Hicks working away, trying to get around Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard staying in front. Bounce pass into the lane. That's stolen away. Coming down the other way is Anna Hart. Anna Hart into the paint. Kicks it into the far corner. Trying to make away with it is Tessa Shepard into Emily Hart. She goes driving into the lane. Whistle call. The ball knocked away, but she'll go to the line to shoot two. 49.2 seconds left to go here in the third. Pioneer 31, the Saints 25. Emily Hart puts it up. And nothing but net for the first one. Brings it 31-26 for the Saints. Emily Hart shooting her second free throw. Puts it up and puts it in. Pioneer 31, the Saints 27. 49 seconds left to go in the third. Pioneer inbounds the ball. Clark coming down the far sideline. Clark into the front court, moves it over on the near side to Bogan. Bogan moves it back to DeWolf. DeWolf just inside of midcourt. DeWolf on the far wing. DeWolf lofts it over at the point. Bogan with it. Bogan dribbles to her right, works her way onto the right wing, now switches directions. Bogan over to DeWolf. DeWolf on the far wing, lofts it into the corner for Bogan. Bogan long cross court pass over to Hicks. Hicks moves it to DeWolf. 15 seconds left to go. Pioneer playing for the last shot of the third. Screen. DeWolf gets a screen, goes into the paint, puts it up, and contact made. The basket wouldn't fall, but a whistle blown. 4.4 seconds left to go. DeWolf goes to the line to shoot two. DeWolf has the first shot bounce off the rim. 4-point lead for Pioneer. 31-27, looking to stretch that to a 5-point lead. DeWolf with her second free throw. And that drops. 32-27, the Pioneer lead. Here comes Schultz. Schultz over center court. Schultz into the key. As the official calls a foul on Rollins. So they'll call free throws to end the third. As the officials now talking things over, trying to make sure they get everything right. As they're trying to get everything figured out, happened right at the end of the quarter, and that happened before the quarter ended, and were they out of control, and they get together, try and get things right. No time on the clock. Schultz will shoot two. Schultz has it bounce off the back of the rim. She'll get a second shot. No one else on the court as it's the end of the third. Schultz puts up the second one, and that one goes through. So back to a 4-point game here between these two teams. Whole another quarter to go here for the fourth. 4-point game. Coming down with it is Schultz. Schultz over center court. Schultz trying to work against DeWolf. Schultz, top of the key. Now hands it off to Emily Hart. Emily Hart moves it back to Schultz on the near wing. Schultz tries to cut into the paint. Schultz floats it on the far side to Tessa Shepard. Tessa Shepard puts up a floater in the lane. That bounces off. Grabbed and put up by Schultz. Another rebound, but that one goes out of bounds as Courtney Frazier had gotten the rebound. And she tried to bounce pass, went out of bounds, and that's going to go over to Pioneers. 7:32 left to go. Ball inbounded to Clark. Clark coming down the near sideline. Clark on the near wing. Kicks it back to DeWolf. DeWolf calling out signals. DeWolf with Courtney Frazier watching her. DeWolf moves it over on the far wing. Over to Stewart. Stewart bounce pass back to Clark. Clark top of the key. Clark moves it to DeWolf on the far wing. DeWolf holding on to it, looking for a place to go with it. Now bounce pass, trying to get it into Clark. The ball tipped. Whistle. Tessa Shepard gets the foul called. 7:06 left to go in the fourth. 15 foul. Both teams with the bonus turned on the board. Clark will go in to shoot. Should be 1-1. She toes up the line, looking to extend it. Currently a 4-point lead. Clark puts it in. Pioneer 33. And the Saints 28. Clark, one more shot. 7:06 left to go here in the fourth quarter. Clark puts it up, puts it in. 34-28 Pioneer. As the Saints bring it down over to Emily Hart. Now Anna Hart, top of the key, right at the free throw line. Anna Hart, bounce pass over on the far side. That to Marshall. Marshall on the far wing. Tries to work her way into the paint. Walled off there, gets it to Schultz. Schultz puts it up and in. Schultz came down the baseline, spun it off the backboard, put it in. And it's 34-30, Pioneer with the 4-point lead. Pioneer quickly to Hicks in the near corner. Hicks moves it back to Turman. Turman on the near wing. Turman bounce pass to Clark. Clark at the free throw line. Clark just a little too hard. Bounced off the back of the iron. Here comes the Saints. There's a 3-point shot by Marshall. That one bounced off the front of the rim. But cleaning up and putting it in is Tessa Shepard with the rebound and the layup. 6:13 left to go here in the fourth. Pioneer calls a timeout as it's now a 2-point game. Pioneer to inbound. On the baseline, Hicks. Looking to inbound it. Hicks, bounce pass over to Stewart. Stewart gets it back to Hicks. Hicks back to Stewart. Stewart coming down the near sideline. Stewart comes into the paint, puts it in the far corner for Turman. Turman works her way around the 3-point line, gets it back to DeWolf. DeWolf steps back into the backcourt, comes on along the near sideline, gets it in the near corner to Turman. Turman over to Stewart, top of the key. Stewart moves it over to Hicks on the far wing. Back to Turman, centered up. Now moves it over to DeWolf on the near wing. DeWolf has Emily Hart watching her. DeWolf comes all the way into the far corner. Gets it over to Hicks. Pass coming up. Jump ball as Turman able to grab it. As jumping in the way was Courtney Frazier. Turman able to get her hands on it. And that causes a jump ball. 5:34 left to go here. 2-point game. Pioneer to inbound from the far sideline. Over to DeWolf. DeWolf up to the 3-point line. That tipped away out of bounds as Anna Hart jumped the route. And that is going to be out of bounds off of the Saints. Bogan to inbound. Bogan looking for a place to go with it. Gets it to DeWolf. DeWolf back to Bogan in the corner. Back to DeWolf on the near wing. DeWolf dribbles around the arc. Gets it over to Stewart on the far wing. Stewart comes back to the top of the key. Stewart trying to get into the paint. Kicks it into the far corner. Shot by Hicks. Oh, that rims out. Schultz with the rebound. Schultz had Stewart on top of her. Schultz dribbles out of it. Schultz comes down into the paint. Loses the ball. Out of bounds. They're going to say Pioneer touched it last. It's going to stay with the Saints. 5:01 left to go here in the fourth. 2-point lead. Saints with the ball. Anna Harris to inbound underneath her own basket. Looking for a place to go with it. Stewart watching Tessa Shepard on the far side. Inbound to Schultz. Schultz has it taken away by Bogan. Bogan over to Stewart. Stewart starts to dribble court, coming down the near sideline. Schultz tries to take it away from her. Stewart switches hands. Stewart kicks it into the far corner, tipped away by Anna Shepard. They're going to say that went off a Pioneer, as they say that Shepard tipped it back into the Pioneer player. Inbound to the Saints. Here comes Marshall with it. Marshall puts it into the far point for Emily Hart. Over to Anna Hart. Anna Hart, top of the key. Anna Hart moves it to Schultz. Schultz kicks it over to Tessa Shepard, Tessa Shepard moving on the far corner, gets it back, puts up a floater, rolls it up and in. We're tied 34-34, 4:24 left to go. Stewart brings it down the far sideline. Stewart over center. Stewart comes to the far side to the near side. Stewart gets it to Clark. Clark, top of the key. Clark moves it back to Hicks. Hicks on the near wing. Hicks into the far corner for Stewart. Stewart lifts it over to DeWolf. DeWolf puts it up off the rim. Stewart tracks it down in the near corner. Stewart getting it all the way back to Hicks. Hicks bounce pass to DeWolf in the near, at the near corner. Over on the near wing. Over to Bogan. Bogan into the lane. Contact made. Bogan will go to the line to shoot two. 34-34. All tied up here. 3:41 left to go. In the fourth. Bogan at the line. Bogan dribbles. Eyes the basket. Spins it. Now puts it up. And puts it in. Pioneer with a 1-point lead. Bogan looking to extend it to 2. Schultz will come off and sit, getting a breather. Bogan dribbles the ball, eyeing her second shot. She spins it. Bogan puts it up, puts it in. 2-point lead for Pioneer, 36-34. Marshall brings it down. That tipped out of bounds over to Pioneer. 3:36 left to go in the fourth. Pioneer with the 2-point lead. Adams comes in for the Saints. Hicks to inbound. Hicks gets it to Stewart on the far sideline. Pioneer up by 2, 3:33 left to go here in the fourth. Stewart into the paint. Stewart kicks it into the near corner. Back, top of the key for DeWolf. DeWolf hands it off to Hicks. Hicks comes onto the near wing. Hicks over to Bogan. Bogan hands it to DeWolf. DeWolf stutter steps going towards the basket. Now works her way around the arc. Hands it off to Hicks. Hicks hands it off to Bogan. Bogan hands it off to DeWolf on the near wing. Over to Clark. Clark gets it back to Bogan. Bogan, long cross-court pass. That tipped away, saved, but stepping out of bounds was DeWolf. And that'll go over to the Saints. Pioneer 36, the Saints 34. 2:58 left to go here in the fourth. Schultz back in, and to trigger the inbound, Schultz to Marshall. Marshall has Stewart watching her. As Marshall comes to the near side trying to get into the paint. Marshall puts it up and in. She puts in a layup. Roller off of her left hand. It's tied again. 36-36. Stewart comes down the near sideline. Stewart just over midcourt. 2:30 left to go here in the fourth. 36 all. Stewart on the near wing, looking for a place to go. That gives it to DeWolf. DeWolf has Schultz on top of her, calling off signals. DeWolf comes to the near side, switches hands, moves it to Stewart in the near corner. Stewart passes it back over to Bogan. Bogan gets it to Hicks. Hicks moves it to DeWolf on the near wing. DeWolf floats it into the far corner for Hicks. Hicks looking for a place to go with it. Hicks skies it over to Bogan. Bogan into the paint, kicks it off to Stewart for a three. That off the rim, trying to grab it was Clark. Whistle called. 1:50 left to go. Clark to the line. All tied up, 36 apiece. Pioneer moved the ball around. Got a wide open three in the near corner and just a touch too strong. But Clark with an excellent rebound and goes to the line. Clark dribbles the ball, puts it up, puts it in. Pioneer by a point. 37-36. One more shot for Clark. Anna Hart comes in, replacing Courtney Frazier for the Saints. One more shot for Clark. Pioneer by a point, trying to extend it to 2. Clark puts it up, rolls off. The ball grabbed by Tessa Shepard. Over to Schultz. Schultz quickly pushes it to Marshall in the near corner. Marshall trying to get around DeWolf. Marshall, top of the key, now heads back into the corner. Marshall trying to get in. DeWolf puts a body on her. Whistle. There was a bump, and 1:34 left to go. Marshall will go to the free throw line with a chance to take the lead if she hits both of these. 1:34 left. Marshall gets the ball. Toes the line, puts it up, puts it in. We're tied, 37 apiece. Marshall with the chance to take the 1-point lead as the Saints put it in. 38-37, Saints in the lead. As Hicks to inbound. Over to DeWolf. DeWolf looking for a place to go with it. DeWolf comes over. Midcourt. DeWolf cuts to her right. DeWolf working her way around the arc onto the near wing. DeWolf floats it to Clark. Clark on the edge of the paint. Gets it back to DeWolf. DeWolf puts it up. That one just short, but Hicks gets the rebound. Hicks moves it to DeWolf. DeWolf in the near corner. DeWolf coming down the baseline. Puts it up. Contact made. Whistle called. 1:09 left to go. As the foul goes to Emily Hart. DeWolf towed up to the line. That is Emily Hart's 4th foul. We're tied as DeWolf sinks the first one, as it only touches twine. 38 apiece, 1:09 left to go in the fourth quarter. DeWolf with the chance to make it a 1-point lead. And she hits it. Pioneer up. 39-38 over the Saints. As Schultz brings it down on the near wing. Schultz puts it over into the far corner. Over to Tessa Shepard. In to Anna Shepard, or Anna Hart, who puts it in the paint, puts it up. And it's 40-39. Saints with a 1-point lead. DeWolf comes down, attacks the baseline, puts it in. Pioneer goes up by a point. 43 seconds left. The Saints bring it down. Marshall has it. Top of the key. Marshall into the paint. Marshall puts it off. Won't fall. DeWolf with the rebound. DeWolf comes down over center court. DeWolf, Pioneer with the 1-point lead. 28 seconds left to go. Foul on number 14, Courtney Frazier. As the Saints had to foul. No shot clock in high school basketball. So DeWolf toes the line, puts it up, puts it in. 2-point lead for Pioneer. 42-40. Well, boy, this one has been everything you would want it to be with these two very well-coached, very well-disciplined teams going toe-to-toe, back and forth, as it is 27.9 seconds left to go here in the fourth quarter. We did hear there was a fire on Friday down in St. Ignace, and we hope that everyone's okay, and thank you to all the amazing men and women who helped put that fire out. DeWolf toes the line. DeWolf puts it up. It's a 3-point Pioneer lead, 43-40, 27.9 seconds left to go. The Saints with possession. Marshall brings it over center court. Marshall goes to her right. Marshall Hands it off to Anna Shepard. Anna Shepard kicks it. Three-pointer on the way. Bounces off the back. And Hicks has it. Hicks moves it over to Stewart. 12.6 seconds left to go. Hicks to the line to shoot two. The first one rims out, leaving it a three-point game. Hicks. With the chance to make it a 4-point game with 12.6 seconds left. Lots of pressure. Hicks hits it! Huge free throw by Hicks. Marshall comes down the court, over center court. Marshall into the lane, puts it up. Foul called, though. 7.2 seconds left as Marshall drove the lane. Marshall will go to the line. 7.2 seconds left, looking to cut it down to a 2-point game with these two free throws. Marshall comes up to the line. Marshall dribbles, puts it up, puts it in. It's a 3-point game with 7.2 seconds left to go. Timeout called. Marshall at the line. One more free throw coming. She puts it up, bounces around and puts it in. It's a 41-44 game. Stewart with it. Stewart, as Pioneer able to inbound it quickly, got it to Stewart. Foul called as it is 44-42. 2-point game here with 5.7 seconds left to go. And free throws, such a huge part of a close game like this. Stewart at the line. Felicia Stewart puts it up, puts it in. Back to a 3-point lead for Pioneer. 5.7 seconds left. Timeout called again. Late in the fourth, and now we've gone back-to-back. Tie switching leads. Stewart now trying to push it to a 4-point advantage. Stewart puts it up, bounces around, and falls off. Rebound grab by Tessa Shepard. Ahead in the near corner, Anna Shepard puts it in, but the shot was late. The shot was after the whistle, and Pioneer comes away with a 3-point win over a fantastic St. Ignace team. And we can't say enough about both of these teams playing their absolute and utter guts out. And what a fantastic holiday treat for us to get to have this game for you. As our final statistics are being tallied for the fourth quarter, we do thank all of you, the most amazing sports fans in the world, for joining us for this game. We hope you have a fantastic New Year.